Are you an A-list actor? Hey everybody, I'm Matthew Cornwell with Get Taped here in Atlanta, Georgia, one of Atlanta's original audition taping services that I co-own with my lovely wife, Brooke. Boom. There she is. And now on to our topic. Are you an A-list actor? This might be news to you, but your agent has an explicit or unspoken system for categorizing talent. They might use letters or numbers or any kind of labels. Letters are most common from the conversations I've been privy to, A, B, C, D, but for the purposes of our video today, I'm going to use numbers because numbers tend to have a little bit less of a negative connotation. Letters like A, B, C, D make us think about grades, and that might not be so helpful for our discussion today. The number ones. Put yourself in the agent's shoes. This system, whether explicit or implicit, is necessary for the success and survival of the agency. You need to know who are your strongest actors and biggest bookers. Side note, those two lists aren't always the same group of names. Some brilliant actors rarely book, and some questionably talented actors book all the time. Both will be on this list. Your agent needs to have a strong grasp on the number ones. They need to know them backwards and forwards, so when casting calls with a quick turnaround, a limited number of slots, or a sizable role, or all three, your agent needs to be able to rattle off 3 to 5 names without hesitation to fit casting's needs. And that's 3 to 5 names for any breakdown. And they need to be super confident that those number ones will live up to expectations. In other words, the agent needs to be able to stake their reputation on these actors. Also, these are generally speaking the actors that have been at this the longest. They've established not just their own castability, but their sustainability in this crazy industry. Number twos. The number twos are not that far from the number ones, but maybe they're newer to the agency, but not new to the industry, or have proven themselves to be super talented, but just aren't booking as much as the number ones yet. The bottom line is that they're not that far from the number one position, but they're not always that knee-jerk reaction when casting calls the agent looking for suggestions. Number twos, if they continue to improve, will be number ones in very short order. And incidentally, when they don't elevate to that number one status, that's usually when they jump ship to a different agency. Number threes. The actors that would be considered the number threes are maybe actors that the agent is cultivating to eventually one day be a number one, but they're newer to the industry and they haven't booked a lot yet, or maybe they don't have all the training they quite need to get to that number one status. However, this is also where you will find some of the hobbyist actors. These are actors who have clearly demonstrated they are not willing to give up everything to pursue this career. They turn down auditions often, they're not willing to travel, perhaps they are unwilling to update their headshots more than once every 3 to 5 years, they don't do any additional training to improve their craft, etc., etc. They're still bookable and maybe still show promise in the areas of commercials or industrials, but if they're not careful, they'll soon become number fours. If there is a fourth category, because again, this system may not explicitly exist at the agency, it might be something that is unconscious or instinctual, these are the actors who are on their way out. They're the actors that might have been repped for quite a while, but they're not showing any more drive or ambition. Maybe they haven't booked in 2 years. They complain a lot. They blame shift to anybody but themselves, etc. Incidentally, in New York or LA, this category would never exist. These actors would be dropped well before they ever reach this sort of status. But here in the Southeast, where Southern hospitality rules, you may find at some agencies dozens upon dozens of these actors. Agents are either holding on to them for nostalgic reasons because they've known the actor for a very long time, or maybe they fit into a tiny sub-niche, like octogenarian pirate type. And as long as the actor isn't complaining, well, they're willing to keep them in that bottom drawer, only to pull them out once a year when they're needed. So now the question is, where are you on your agent's roster? Disclaimer, please don't go asking your agent. If you don't have a good sense of where you currently are, then you probably won't like the answer, or they won't even be honest with you. So if you're honest with yourself, and if you determine you're not a number one, then hopefully this will motivate you to discover what are the things you could do to become a number one. How can you continue to build that relationship with your agent so that you can boost yourself to the next tier? And so if you've been with your agent for a while and you're thinking, wow, I've been stagnating, it might be time for a move. First, ask yourself, have you been doing everything within your control to continue to increase your value in the eyes of the agent? In other words, do you deserve to be on the number one list? Are you an A-list actor? Again, not just based on talent, but how knowledgeable are you about this industry? And not just how a film set works, but what is actually happening in your market right now. Do you read blogs? Do you follow casting directors on Instagram and Facebook? Do you attend as many Q&As with industry professionals as you can? By the way, all those suggestions are free. In addition to that, when's the last time you took a class or a workshop? Are you continuing to build your craft? Because once again, place yourself in the agent's shoes. If you're in a broad category like me, 40-something, Caucasian, everyman look, well then, what's going to make the agent choose my headshot when submitting for a role versus all of the other dozen or so actors at my agency in my category? It's a subjective decision. They are human. To use a stock market analogy, you need to increase the value of your own stock such that your agent will feel like they are missing out on potential profits if they don't invest in you. And the one surefire way to either not make it to the number one status or to fall off of it if you're currently there is to become passive in your own career. So it stands to reason that between bookings, which if you're like me is probably most of your year, why aren't you trying to get better? Why aren't you trying to improve your stock value? What do professional athletes do during the off season? Do they sit around waiting for more bookings, bigger contracts to come their way? No. They keep training. They keep improving themselves. So don't be lulled into the lie that between bookings, it's your agent's job to do everything for you. No, that is far from the truth. In fact, if you haven't seen our video, Are You Earning Your 90%? Then I invite you to watch that right now because it'll clear up that myth for you. Feel free to comment below on the ways you have found to increase your stock with your agent, or ask questions if you're still unsure what to do. That's all for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on set.